Knon 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people. Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to knon.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.
Good morning, good morning. I know you're surprised. This is Robert Pitre sitting in for Reverend Dr. Burnett. For the first hour, we have Miss Juanita Wallace with the NAACP. Also, we have Miss Daniels Pizzuto with the NAACP. And we're going to talk about NAACP business for the first hour. Miss Wallace, tell us what's on your mind and what's going on with the NAACP in Dallas, Texas, and things that we should look forward to.
Well, we're going to start out by having our media committee chair to tell us. Since Danielle Esposito has come and joined the executive committee of the NAACP, I now have some help with media. So she's our media specialist, and so she's going to be talking to you. I'll chime in as needed, but right now we're going to start out by talking about the really inception of the of NAACP, and then break it on down to what we're doing here in Dallas.
Well, good morning, and thank you, Dr. Wallace.
Good morning.
So happy to be here with all of you. I wanted to start out by saying we're going to appear here on the show once a month to give the listening audience a chance to contact us with questions and concerns they have for the Dallas NAACP. But I wanted to start also by giving you a little history of the actual inception of the NAACP itself. In 1908, a race riot in Abraham Lincoln's hometown of Springfield, Illinois, helped plant the seed, which later sprouted into the NAACP. The riot lasted 2 days. 2 blacks were lynched, 6 others were killed, and more than 4,200 militia men had to be called in to restore order to the town. Oswald Garrison Villard, grandson of William Lord Garrison, who was the head of the New York Evening Post, was appalled by the riot. Also appalled was William Walling, who actually arranged a meeting at his apartment the first week of January 1909. In attendance at that meeting was Mary White Overton, Dr. Moskowitz, and Wallings. The first black to join the next meeting was Bishop Alexander Walters of the African American Methodist United Church. At that time, they called themselves the National Negro Committee. But 1 month later, February 12, 1909, they changed the name to the NAACP, which started the oldest civil rights organization. Now, the organization was created to fight mistreatment of all people, regardless of race, gender, or sexual preference, but unfortunately, that isn't what happens all the time in the organization. So today, we want to hear from the people of the DFW area on how they can come into the organization and help us get it back to where it needs to be. We know that no organization is perfect, and this is why we are here, to let people know that we care about making things better. So we're not really interested in hearing or fielding calls about anything negative. We want to hear from people who are on the side of making a positive change and call in with some solutions and suggestions for the Dallas branch NAACP. As things are not perfect, as I noted, we are indeed on the move. This year alone, we have done a tremendous amount to assist in the community. We hosted a affordable care conference, followed by an event to assist individuals in enrolling in health care. Both these events were held at Paul Wallace College in the
Paul Quinn
College in February and March of 2014.
Okay, where's the NAACP office located?
The office is located at 1617 Panama. That is an annex to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. And I take so much pride in saying 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Now, that's St. Philip's. Most people, when I tell them the office is 1600 Pennsylvania, they think that I'm talking about Washington, D.C.
Right.
So that's where the office is. Now, the actual meeting takes place every first Tuesday of the month at Thurgood Marshall Recreation Center. And that has been the meeting place ever since Victor.
Okay.
I don't know if people out there in the audience remember Victor Smith, but way before him, as a matter of fact, all the way back when Lee Alcorn was the president. So we've not moved it because we want to be open. Not only open, we want people to be aware where it's meeting. And of course, the bylaw says you have to have a place where you can meet, and it has to be the same place.
Okay, well, that's good. Now, you know, those that may not know where the office is, and most people know where St. Philip's. St. Philip's is, well, I guess my son went to St. Philip's, and St. Philip's is a great school, community school, and it's helping to educate our children, and it's just a great place for...
And the headmaster is so generous that my office that I have there is in-kind service. So, but we are always open to give donations to him and to give money back to the school because of his generosity.
What is their telephone number?
The our NAACP telephone number is 214-916-9919. And let me just tell you a little bit more about the NAACP. When people have complaints, I've been told, and it's true, that they call on two entities. They call on Jesus Christ and they call on the NAACP. And with that being said, I'd like for you to be a little bit more proactive and start becoming a member of the NAACP before you have a problem.
Right.
The NAACP's membership is only $30
a year
per year. Now, if you were to divide that up, and I haven't had a chance, you can see that's mere pennies. So we ask you to do that. The NAACP offers so many services. The executive committees are made up of various committees, and what we do is each committee has a committee chair, and that committee chair is responsible for different events or different parts of our concerns. Let's say, for instance, like with Danielle, she is the press and publicity. We also have, she's in charge of communication. We have a community coordinator.
Who is that person? Who is that
community coordinator?
Right.
That is Nethel Jackson.
Okay.
We have the education person, Mr. Roger Weems. We have Freedom Fund, none other than Miss Claire, Claire Brown Trimble. We have health chair. We have legal redress, which is Diane Clark. We have membership and life membership. We have political action. We have religious affairs.
No, who are some of those people?
Well,
people
some
in
of
the
those
community?
people, some of those people will appear on the show with me every month. So that's our plan, to try and bring some of the committee members in.
Who are some of the men? I've heard just only ladies. Who are some of the men?
We have Dr. Edward Brown. We have Reverend Hosea Hickman.
Okay.
We have other people that are committee people, and I'm not going to go into all of their names right now, okay? But what I want to do is talk about some of the work that we've done. I don't know if you already know, but if you look at the fact that the healthcare is, first of all, it's a civil rights. And not only is it a civil rights, it is very much needed. And you do know that Dallas and the state of Texas have the highest non-participatory rate in the country. And with that being said, in January, at that time, she was the health chairperson. Sebelius came here to Dallas, and we hosted a forum and a press conference over at Paul Quinn College. And during that press conference, we tried to highlight the importance of people becoming health conscious, not only that, people joining, signing up for affordable health care. And after that, we hosted the actual affordable care sign up enrollment.
Okay. Now, in Dallas, Texas, dealing with health care, 49% of all HIV cases in Dallas County is African American. What is your position on that?
Well, if you let me finish talking about the Affordable Care Act, I will get into the actual.
No, but this is a show that I'm hosting the show. Now, we could talk NAACP business, and we could just, now, to my understanding, we're just going to talk. That's what Reverend Burnett said to me. So I'd just like to ask questions, or do you want to just, how do you want to do it?
No, I tell you what, why don't I go ahead and answer your question about HIV?
Right.
Okay, and then we can go back to Affordable Care Act, since you want to go to that. March the 18th, we hosted a HIV conference over at, I can't remember the name of the church. It was Peace. The last name was Peace. I can't remember, but it was in Oak Cliff. And the reason we did this is because you may not remember, but let me just tell you a little history about that. The people in that community on the corner of Bonneview and Simpson Stewart Road, right up from Paul Quinn College, a lady and a man got into an altercation after she admitted that she had HIV. And at that particular time, he shot and killed her. Well, the people in that community were very, very upset naturally. And we decided to host our event right across from the actual apartment building in that built church. At that particular time, we offered an opportunity for people to come and learn about how important it is to try to avoid HIV, but more importantly, how they could help themselves. We had a lady by the name, and I can't remember her name either, but she came and brought condoms. We talked about that, but more importantly, we decided to have another HIV health fair that spun from that one. And then we had people coming from the community actually to be tested at this one. So with that being said, we are addressing HIV. As you stated, it's an epidemic, and the epidemic started, well, I'm not sure where it started, but let's put it like this. Female black women have the highest rate of HIV here in the city of Dallas.
Right. Now, we're going to have call in this morning. Okay.
Yes.
The number, okay, this morning we're going to have where you can call in and talk to the representative. Give me the number where I could, okay, 972-647-1893. Callers, call in and you could talk to Ms. Wallace and talk about NAACP and ask questions. You need to be a member. They need community support. We need organizations that will fight for the well-being of the community. It's a lot of issues that affect blacks in Dallas, Texas, and you need an organization like the NAACP. And like Ms. Wallace, Dr. Wallace stated, that, don't wait to call them when you have problems. Come be a part and deal with the problems that face our community. So, Ms. Wallace, you want to go back to the Affordable Care, and the lines are open. Let's talk.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure people understand that not only is health care the law, don't be fooled by people. Some of the people on the other side of the aisle want to make you believe that this is just an option. It is a law, and we need affordable health care. Not only do we need it, but we must have it. As a matter of fact, people that choose not to go ahead and enroll in health care, there will be penalties, and the penalties will occur when you get ready to do your income tax. Yeah. So please be aware of that.
And I want to chime in on what Dr. Wallace said. Healthcare is very important. And when people water down the fact that healthcare is needed, it only hurts the community. By having the healthcare, you can go in and be proactive about getting treatments, checking your blood pressure, checking your sugar levels. These are all factors in the African American community that hinder us. A lot of us die off earlier than we need to. So healthcare allows us to be able to be, again, proactive, check on our health and create a healthier generation to come. And so people, again, on the other side of the aisle don't want us to have health care so we can take care of ourselves.
And I know you've heard the old adage that when some people have a cold, black people have pneumonia. And if you're not proactive, things will get out of hand, and then you are very close to death before you finally decide to go to the doctor. And once you go, everything is taken over, and your body is at the point where it really might not be able to fight off. That's with HIV. That's extremely important. You can live with HIV, and we have to understand that.
Will the NAACP help people in the community that may not be insured at this time get the affordable health care that they need?
Yes, we will provide them with the information that they need in order to sign up for the Affordable Health Care Act. Again, we had that conference back in February and March at Paul Quinn, but we still have the information that they need in order to sign up, and we encourage people to contact us so we can give them that information for them to get signed up.
And our number, once again, is 214-916-9919. And there we can point you to, we don't want to be discriminatory in what we do, but we can point you to different agents or different insurance people that can help you sign up, because once again, we have all different kinds of outlets that can actually take advantage of you and help you get signed up.
Can white people be members of the NAACP?
Oh, absolutely. As I stated in the history, the NAACP was actually started initially by white people.
Right.
And this is an organization that believes in diversity, and we believe in working together. That's the only way things will get solved is by working together. So please, we encourage whites, Hispanics, anyone to join the NAACP.
See, when you look at the word NAACP, National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Now, we haven't been able to define colored, but we do know that it can include anybody, even, and I always tell people jokingly, black, white, red, yellow, and even polka dots.
Right.
We just like to put a little sling on that.
Right.
But the other thing I want you to understand is that the Dallas branch NAACP presently have, somewhat high-profile people in our Dallas branch organization. We have a judge. We have educators. We have people from all different walks of life, socioeconomic groups. So we don't discriminate. See, that's what it's all about. Now, I will say my prejudice here in Dallas is that people are very tribal. And with that being said, oftentimes they just want to include certain people in their groups, in their organizations. But the NAACP was founded on the idea of helping everybody. And since I've been the president, that's been my motto, and that's what we've been doing.
Do y'all have an ex-offender program?
Within the actual NAACP, no, we do not. But what we do have is the committee that can address that. The Political Action Committee can address that. As I stated to you earlier, we have about 16 different committees, and each committee has a mission. That mission tells that chairperson and the committee what they can do. So any problem that you may have or anyone has, it's going to fall into one of the committees. And with that being said, we can address it.
Okay.
Now, a couple other things. Oftentimes people want to just call us and vent. Before we can address any issue, they must fill out a form and sign it and date it, because we've been burned by that also.
What do you mean by that?
People come and they'll talk to you, and you'll jot the information down, you even jot the phone number down, and you talk to other people.
Okay, we have to take a break.
And I'll finish talking to you about that.
Let's take a break. Oh, we back. We have Miss Wallace and Miss Spiro. Rosito. I'm sorry, Rosito.
No, Sposito. That's okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. We have a caller, and we have Tony, and Tony has pledged. This is what we need. Pledges, because Reverend Burnett say if the more pledges we get, the longer he can stay. And Reverend Burnett has had this show for more than 25 years, and I'm going to say 30, but I know it's more than 25 years. So, Tony, what's on your mind? Tony, talk to us. Tony, line 1. Okay, Tony, call back.
Hello?
Okay, Tony.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Tony.
Good morning.
Good morning. Well, I wanted to give information to the President Dallas. I bought a book.
You're going and cutting in and
breaking
out.
up, Tony.
I'm not sure why.
Well, just speak up a little bit and let's see if you just speak up a little bit. Yeah, you brought it up. Once you call back, Tony, lines are open. Tony's going to call back, and the lines are open. So we have we need some pledges. You know, Reverend Burnett told me, say, get all the pledges you can and get people calling in. And normally when Reverend Burnett is on the show, the lines are just blinking. So let's get some pledges in here. And Ms. Wallace, you want to say anything else about the NAACP, what you were speaking for the break?
Oh, we were talking about how we get connected. When you have a problem and you want us to address it, it has to be done in writing, and we have to get a signature as well as the date that you came to us. That's why it's important for you to call in advance, because we are all volunteers, so we don't sit in the office just waiting around for people to call. So you contact us, we make an appointment, you fill out the paperwork, and then we start addressing it. Now, this is what we usually do. We listen to what you have to say. After we listen to it, we write it up. And if you need help with writing it up, we by all means do that, because we're going to send a letter to the person that we're complaining to. After we do that, if need be, we go ahead and have a press conference, and after that, if it needs to go to EEOC or education or wherever, we take it there. And if need be, we also stage a protest. I don't know if you can remember, there were 6 black deputies that were about to be fired, and we went through every one of those steps, and as a result of those steps, those 6 black deputies, under the auspices of Sheriff Lupe, was reinstated and never lost a beat. Okay. So we've got to understand how to do this.
Okay, let's go back to Tony. Tony on line 1. Let's see if we could hear you.
Can you hear me clear now?
Okay.
A little bit.
Come on, but...
all right. Okay. Like I said, there's a book that I just bought called Rain Up Era.
No, we can't hear you, Tony. It sounds like you say you bought a boat. That's what it sounds like. So is that what you bought?
No, a book.
A book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It has to do with privatization of public schools, and every information that you need to fight this new school and this new Dallas takeover is in it. The author is Diane, I can't pronounce her last name correct, but it's R-A-V-I.
Ravitch.
Yes.
Her name is Ravitch.
And it talks about, I heard Mike Miles use the word effective teachers. That is like a cold word, for this new movement trying to privatize public schools.
Right.
And at the end of the day, this book, everything I'm talking about charter schools, everything that they talked about, and it talks about it in this book. And I think if you get this book, it will help you defend and at least make their arguments for them. So when they come to you and say, well, you're out on line, she has the evidence, she has the research that backs what she's saying.
Okay, it sounds good. Tony, let me ask you this, Tony. Are you a member of the Dallas branch NAACP?
No.
Okay, well, we would love to have you come and become a member, because it sounds like you are on the move as far as this home rule situation is concerned, and we need people like you to come and talk about it and fight for the home rule. if you're buying books, you're reading about it, it means you're concerned. So we would love to have you come out, become a member, and be on the side of keeping home rule out of Dallas.
Well, let me tell you something. When it comes to organizations, I have my voice, and I refuse for anybody, any organization, to squash my voice.
Yes.
So I use this platform we have here to make my opinions known and my stance known. There's nothing wrong with NAACP, but no one can control this voice. And I'm an independent voice. And that's one reason why I very rarely, matter of fact, I'm not in any organization, because they have a certain message that they preach, and they tend to have when people stay online. I cannot abide by that kind of rule when I'm an independent individual, and my voice will be heard whether you agree or whether you don't. So thank you for inviting me, though.
Oh, no problem. And
let me speak to that if you don't mind. You know what? I appreciate everything that you said, including being an independent person. And the bottom line is, if people are independent but have the facts, that's what we need. And with you being independent, you still can carry the facts to other people. By reading that book, it shows me that you understand not only that you should fight against home rule, that it's all about privatization. And privatization has moved to the point where even water is being privatized. So we have to understand that. And you're absolutely right when you talk about the home rule school district. Home rule schools within a district is okay, but to turn 233 schools into a home rule charter school district is absolutely asinine. And not only does it's going to take away the rights of the teachers, the rights of the students, the rights of the parents. But now let me tell you what I'd like for you to do. Since you're independent, I'd like for you to attend some meetings, not NAACP meetings, because, that's not necessarily a requirement. But there is a meeting going to take place August the 26th, 2014, from 6 to 8 at Walnut Hill Recreation Center. And I'd love for you to be there, because there we have independent people, and we have people from all different parts of town, but more importantly, we're trying to get the message out. We've been in West Dallas, East Dallas, South Dallas, and now we're going to North Dallas with the same message. Stay away from home rule district schools, and should it come to fruition, we're saying to vote no.
Let me ask a question. The people that want to change the public education to home rule, what are their purpose? What are the reasons that you feel that they want to do this?
The purpose is $1.5 billion. Now, if you have a budget of $1.5 billion, and that is a budget for Dallas Independent School District, plus $1.3 billion in the rainy day fund. So if you take that $2.8 billion and you decide in the charter that it's going to divide the school up, that you're going to pay the teachers less than they're being paid, and if you're going to not support the programs, which is curriculum within the school district, then you're going to have a lot of money left over. So the money left over is going to be for the people that create these particular charter schools. And that money will go in their pocket as profit. So the whole thing is about money. The people that started this, 5 people started it. Enron trader John Arnold, he wants to convert it, and he's already a billionaire. But once a billionaire, then they want to get more money and more money. So that's the point.
Okay. Black Hawk, line 2.
Yes. Good morning.
How you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Good morning. Good morning,
How
sir.
you doing? I want to say, that was murder, and it's still finished last week.
Can you hear?
I want to know what this WXCC is doing like fine. I heard on the 36. So what you just about?
Somehow, Black Hawk, we're not hearing you clear. Can you just hang up and call us back?
All right. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. That's better.
Okay, Mr. Wilder. That was the murder, and it's still there. It's right around Power Quiz last week. I used to have an NAACP membership. I'm watching it. I'm watching y'all calling to kill a lot of people, Mr. Duffy. And I want to know what the NAACP doing about violent crime in our community.
Doing about what?
Violent crime.
Violent crime in the community.
Yes.
The NAACP works closely with Chief Brown. As a matter of fact, on a regular basis, there was a small coalition of people called Good Law Enforcement that met with Chief Brown and talked with him about, first of all, additional training, violations of the police officers. So we work with them. The NAACP cannot police the police, but individuals can. So in your community, in your associations, even in the NAACP, if you want to bring an issue to us, we get it to the right person.
What about the lack of economic development in the inner city? That's one of the reasons that we have so much crime all over America. You know, when businesses in the black community can't go to banks and borrow money, lack of development, lack of opportunities. I mean, how does the NAACP look at and I call it an economic embargo that holds our community back? You know, when you look at the inner cities of America, it's blighted, drug-infested, crime. And you look at, speaking of Dallas, you go to North Dallas and you see development, businesses, and our businesses cannot go into banks and borrow money to create jobs and opportunity.
Well, in my opinion, if I can answer that, I think it all involves being proactive and come together as a community. Because when we come together, we can fight those types of causes. If we support each other's businesses that open up in the community, then we're fighting that cause automatically. See, I believe that a lot of the issues we have to deal with ourselves. We can't look for other people to assist us because people have shown throughout history they're not interested in assisting us. We have to learn to start in our own communities to work together to assist ourselves. And this is one thing, like we're talking about the healthcare initiative, being proactive, being healthy, so you can live in order to assist.
But I mean, we know that we need jobs in our community. I mean, we know this a fact. We know we have crime. We know that our community is redline. All these things we know. I mean, so do we start in 2014 or do we wait to 2015 to deal with these issues?
You start.
I mean,
You've
already
hundreds
started.
of years ago. I mean, we have to already have started. And no, we don't wait till 2015, and we don't wait another day. We start today doing whatever we can as African Americans, as minorities, as whoever, to make things better. We cannot wait for anyone. And I'm not understanding the question when people ask, what do we do about our own communities? I mean, we have to get out there, clean up our own community, stop using drugs, stop buying alcohol, stop buying cigarettes. No one ties us up and has us go buy alcohol and drink it. These are all choices that we make on an individual basis. And so these are some of the things that can stop the...
But there are conspiracies that
we can fight. There's been a conspiracy. There's always been conspiracies, but we're up and we know about the conspiracies. I get so upset.
But you say we know, but it's affecting us today.
Right.
I mean, this is.
But we know the tricks of the enemy.
Right.
And the enemy has always been tricking us. But once you know the truth, then it's up to you as an individual to stop being tricked.
But as a community,
as a community, well,
even
the community,
the
community starts with an individual, with a person, and then and builds up on that. But we can't keep talking about the conspiracy, because that's a well-known fact. Read the Willie Lynch letter. If you haven't heard of it, go Google it and read it. Conspiracy started years and years ago, and we know what they're doing. So we don't have to fall victim to that. It's
but
all
we are victims, though,
but
right?
we're doing a lot of it, in my opinion, to ourselves. Like I said, we don't have to drink the alcohol. We don't have to smoke the cigarettes. We don't have to buy the drugs. Yes, they can plant them in our communities, but it's up to us as individuals to be strong enough not to do those things.
Right, and we should create the opportunities for ourselves. But when you handicap as a business to create jobs and opportunity. I mean, in Dallas, Texas. Have you lived in Dallas, Texas long?
No, I actually am from Ohio, from the Midwest, but very familiar. Same things are going on all over the country.
Right.
Same things. People falling victim to the tricks of drugs being planted into the community, alcohol stores being right in our communities. But again, it's our choice as individuals whether or not we want to go in and purchase those
So
things.
we're making bad choices as a race of people.
Absolutely, and not by coming together and sticking together, and not by coming and joining the NAACP and making the voice be heard through that. I think every African American should be a member of the NAACP. Like Dr. Wallace says, it's only $30 a year.
Right.
We spend that going to get our nails done. And if we would come, join, and then come to the meetings, we don't have to come to every meeting, but if someone would do their part, a small part, every year, then these are the types of things that make the community better. We can't keep talking about things and not doing anything. We know what the conspiracy is. We've known for years. But talking about it all the time, what's that going to do? Nothing. We can't wait on other people to make things better for us.
Right. But when you look at economic development in Southern Dallas for jobs and opportunity, these jobs, and I heard the mayor of Dallas say, well, because jobs are not coming to Southern Dallas because of the educational base. And it was blacks.
And you bought into that, I bet.
And blacks was.
No, I don't think. I hope no one bought into that comment.
Let's go back to Ms. Wallace's comment. You say I bought into it.
Some people bought into that.
Okay, I thought you said I bought into it.
Oh no,
Okay.
I didn't.
Okay.
No.
Okay. Because when you look at economic opportunities, you know, and I received a letter from Dallas Auto Auction. This auction does about $3.5 billion a year in the city of Dallas. In 1990, I was able to go to the general manager of the auction and suggest that they move the auction to Dallas, and gave them a location to move this auction. Okay.
1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute. Okay, and gave them a location, and the city of Dallas didn't want an auction. Now this auction is bringing to the Dallas economy $125 million a year, and with 600 jobs.
And where is the auction being held? Where is it?
It's at Keats and Duncanville Road in Dallas.
Okay, so.
You know, so, and we're talking about from 1992 to the present. So, I mean, we could all go out and create economic development, help our community. And there are people that have in this city. You know, we could go to the banks, and, you know, banks don't loan money, but there are banks in our community. We're getting ready for a break, and we could continue this conversation.
And I would love to hear someone call in and weigh in on this particular topic that we're talking about.
Yeah, the lines are open. Call in and let's talk about things. Okay,
the number is 972-647-1893.
This is Robert Pitre setting in from Reverend Dr. Burnett. We need pledges this morning. We need some pledges. We need people to call in and be part of our discussion. We have the NAACP. And let's continue to talk about, but when I was explaining that, you know, I was able to bring a company, and, you know, I'm not bragging about it, but just being part of being a car dealer, and seeing the opportunities of an auction in the city of Grand Prairie, where every time it flooded at that location, cars would get flooded. Grand Prairie police officers would write tickets to car dealers, and it was like they didn't want the auction there. And I went to the general manager and say, hey, bring this business to Dallas.
And so that's what I'm talking about. You, sir, you were proactive. You did your part. You brought money into the community.
Right.
And just like you did that, other people can do that, and you don't have to already have a craft in order to do that. You can make a suggestion. You can do some research. You can just, again, make a suggestion that something comes
and just take a position, you know, and
take a position.
Right. And banks, you know, the banks on Martin Luther King, I mean, they are just taking out deposits, but now it was action to make them locate those banks in our community, and it was people like myself and others that went to people like Mr. Tom Hoagland, got them to hire 17 officers,
there you go.
black officers.
And
So-
also get loans for businesses. If people come together and enforce those types of issues,
Right.
then they have to give us loans for our businesses. If you're saying, oh, well, there's no education in the black community for particular jobs, we know that's all nonsense. This is when we come together, fight those issues, and make things better.
Those
in the
are some
communities.
important issues in dealing with economics, and it's reason why there are more liquor stores in our community. And when you look at one time, all the beer and wine stores was in South Dallas.
Right.
Now they have spread them all through Oak Cliff, and a lot of people that live in South Dallas now. Gentrification is getting ready to happen in South Dallas, and we are not the ones that's going to be the ownership if we don't take a position. But I see we have James from Palestine. James, I hadn't heard your voice in a long time. Tell us what's happening in Palestine and any questions that you'd like to ask Miss Wallace and Miss Sposito. James, line 2. Okay, I think he's going to get you on, James. Just wait 1 minute. Okay, James.
Hello?
James, talk to me.
Yes, sir. Good morning, Robert.
How you doing?
And the guests. I'm really doing good. I always enjoy the program and everybody's sacrifices that's making in the Metroplex there.
Good morning.
Here, a little bit of Palestine. Right now, we have the mayor on recall and a city councilman from a District 6 over there that he's been on the... He's been a city councilman forever, 20-some years probably, and he's the old money here in Palestine. And the other council people, some of them have come on. We had a black chief of police named Robert Herbert from over in Forest Hills by Fort Worth.
Right.
We think he was doing a great job, but all the white officers, and then we had a black female to speak up and say there was turmoil within the system, and they blaming it on him. But we had this city manager that she's a systematic thing. They put her in position, and she waved her magic wand, and Robert Herbert was one of those that had to be executed from the system. And I don't know what position he's going to take as far as discussing the further concerns about what they did to him.
Is this the black community is recalling him? Is this the whole city?
The white and black. Really, what happened is this: the mismanagement by this city manager and the mayor and the staff. They are all this white group that a lot of people consider was the one that was part of the police. They got rid of the black chief. These people had come to us and said it wasn't about the chief of police. It was about mismanagement, and they had a design plan to get rid of the chief. And the police were all out of order. I think they came to city council meeting discussing personnel issues. I think they went beyond the human resource personnel policies, and it just became a big mess.
Okay.
But
Well, James, do you think y'all need an NAACP down in Palestine?
They have.
I have an
you
echo
have
with
one?
me, but we do have one. And about a program or two ago, I spoke with Mrs. Wallace about maybe coming down and organize us. Let me say this: ours is in shambles, and we have some people that had joined in the NAACP, and to me, they like a little clique, and they came and actually destroyed the NAACP. And for the first time in Palestine history, as I recall, we missed the Freedom Fund banquet last year. It might have been the year before because of this group that came in, and rather than unified, they
James,
broke
do
us
you
up.
have Miss Wallace? Why don't you give James your
Here's
number?
the number again, James: 214-916.
916.
9919. And I
9919.
and I want to say there's always going to be poisonous snakes in every organization. So
Yes.
we have to learn to fight those and continue moving on. Okay? And it
Yes.
sounds like you want to be a part of that. So please contact Dr. Wallace so she can possibly come in and assist in reorganizing that NAACP down in Palestine.
Yes, I have some more concerns. Do I have time for a few more?
James, you could call back in the second hour. Right now, we have some more callers, James. If you call back in the second hour, we could talk about them, because we're gonna have an open line in the second hour. Line 3,
Thank you, James.
Ronald Irvin. Hello? Line 3. Okay, I guess he hung up. Eric Williams on line 1. Eric.
How you doing, Mr. Pitre?
Just great.
Good, good. Glad to see you doing a good job with that radio program.
Well, I'm trying, Eric. I'm trying. How you been, Eric? How have you been?
I've been doing great. Been doing great. Well, I got on that ballot as a U.S. congressional candidate for District 30 for November 4th election, and I heard your discussion this morning.
Okay.
And I thought that was real intriguing.
Okay. So
And,
is that, you say, for Congress?
Yes, for U.S. Congress.
Okay.
And I'll be competing directly with Eddie Bernice Johnson.
Okay.
Okay, what are your concerns? Do you have any suggestions for the Dallas branch NAACP?
Well, I think that first of all, my grandfather was a long-time NAACPer, and he had us enrolled in the NAACP for quite some time. I worked with the Reverend Jesse Jackson for 8 years with Rainbow Push.
Are you a member now, sir? Are you a member now?
No, I am not a member now.
We'd love to have you come be.
I am not a member now, but I have my own reasons and own concerns about the NAACP. They've been a great organization for the community. I think we need more outreach for the younger generation for the NAACP, because most people have forgotten about some of the great things that the NAACP has done over the years.
Exactly.
However, I think the outreach efforts to be more inclusive of the community at large so that people can be more engaged has been forgotten.
And that is exactly why we are here. I said that in our opening statement, that we are here because we know that there are issues in the organization, and we are looking for people to come in and assist us with those. And we do know that the younger generation needs to be reached. That is what we have coming up in the fall. We have new elections, and we want people there to assist us in making this a much better organization. And that way, with you running for office, you can be a part of being that outreach that we need.
I would love to be.
All right.
I would love to be. I would love to be. I think the NAACP is the backbone to the African American community, and people need to be more aware of the accomplishments that have been able to be achieved through the NAACP. We as the African American people, we are becoming a permanent underclass in our community, and we need to pull our pants up and start being more engaged in politics and more engaged in regional and geopolitical affairs, because we're being bamboozled. We got a lot of poverty pimping going on in our community with these organizations that call themselves civil rights organizations, but not really being a civil rights organization. We fought for the right to vote, but we're not voting right.
Exactly.
And so we need a lot of help. I mean, when you look at Dallas, southern sector of Dallas, and you look at the whole entire city of Dallas, the Dallas city is the 14th largest economy in the world, and that would make us the 14th largest state in the world. So, but where is the economic development on the south side?
And really fast, could you answer me a question? What would you do to make that better?
Well, my first thing is about opportunities, contracts, and jobs. I mean, that's the main thing that we do. I mean, I have my own educational consulting business, been in business for myself since '96. I make my living on contracts and creating jobs.
Okay.
I think that's important that we as a community, we need opportunities, we need contracts, and we need jobs. Without that, we're not going to have no economic. We don't have any black banks that are owned by blacks.
And with you running for office, it sounds like since you have a record of this business, you can come in and teach other people in the community how to do this. And so this is why we need you in the NAACP, so you can come in, be a part of an organization that goes out and trains other individuals on how to start their own business, how to get into politics, and how to make things better in the community. So it sounds like you're on the right track. And
Eric, it's nice to hear from you. Eric, call me sometime and let's get together. Are you still producing movies?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I just finished a film called 3/5. Journey for Economic Development. It's a third-part series of all my journeys to Africa and around the world that focuses on the African diaspora.
Yeah.
And this film is getting ready to be released next next week, as a matter of fact.
Well, you have my number. Let's get together. Let's talk. I have some ideas myself that I'm working on, so I'd like to.
Wonderful. You keep doing a great job, Mr. Preacher.
Thank you. Right now on line 3, we have Leon. Leon. Okay, Leon has been cut off. Okay, well, call back. I see where the line is blinking. Well, Reverend Burnett is out. He will be back next week, and I know that everybody will be waiting for Reverend Burnett, but we need some pledges in here today because we need to raise some money, and it sure would be good for Reverend Burnett to come back, and he have $2,000-3,000, and I think that would be good. Ms. Wallace, is there anything that you would like to say about the gentleman called? He was talking about economic development and jobs, and this gentleman produced movies, a businessman, came to this city, has been very, very successful. But we have Leon is back on line 4. Leon, talk to us.
Good morning.
Yes.
Thanks for taking my call. Yeah, I wanted to address a couple of things that I've heard said on this program. First of all, there's a misconception that everyone in the black community is on drugs or on alcohol. When you make statements like we have to give up drugs for alcohol, etc., so you have to quantify these statements because it implies that we're all on drugs and we're all alcoholics, and that's why we're not successful. That's not why our community doesn't have development, etc. That's not the case. So I would appreciate it if when you're in leadership positions, if you articulate our causes in a little bit more professional manner, because that gives the people who are trying to use those excuses, the reasons to stop us from getting economic development, to say, well, they don't want an economic development, Trump.
Well, I was, sir, referring to the people who are on drugs and alcohol. No one here made a statement that everyone in the community was, and I don't think anyone in the right mind who is listening thought that is what I was saying. I said whoever is on drugs, alcohol, smoking cigarettes, these are things that hinder us as a community, and these are easy fixes. We can just simply stop. And these are things that keep people from getting jobs and learning and getting education. So I did not say everyone in the community. There is never everyone in anything. So I was addressing the people who.
But you didn't make a distinction.
Well, I'm making it now. I don't have a percentage.
And I had to.
Do you have a percentage?
No, I don't. But I didn't make a statement.
Okay. Well, I don't have a percentage, and I just corrected myself for you and anyone else who thought I said everyone. So that's
okay. Now, in addition to that,
do you have any suggestions on making things better? Because that's why we're here.
Yes, no, but I mean, we would like to hear his opinion. Go ahead, Leah. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, yeah, I do have suggestions. The way we got the access to opportunities and movement toward equality was achieved by methods that were invented and used years ago. Okay, and what we've done now, instead of using the same old tried and true method, we tried to reinvent the wheel, and seems like we're not making the same progress that we made back in the 60s. Okay, we got the right to vote, we got the right to equal access, but now we're in an economic battle for economic equality. And when we try to reinvent the wheel and we're not rolling, we need to go back to the same methodology that we were used back in the 60s by Martin Luther King and his group, because we marched, we boycotted, and we had leadership from the clergy community, the church community. We had leadership from the NAACP, and all these groups worked together and led the grassroots movement toward freedom. And we need to go back to those methodologies.
I agree. You're absolutely right, and I'd like to speak on this. I hear exactly what you're saying. Some of the methods are not being used. But I hope you heard me earlier that oftentimes here in the city of Dallas, and I will say this, it's very tribal. The NAACP is very inclusive, and we reached out to other organizations, and some become a part and help us with issues. We reached out to the clergy, and some of them, for the most part, have not lifted a finger to help. So the bottom line is we've got so many chiefs but not Indians. And if we don't come together, then we're not going to make the progress as quickly as we could otherwise. So we're just saying to people, help us fix what's wrong with the NAACP. We already kind of know what's wrong, but we want to hear from the community. And if you've been attending the meetings every first Tuesday of the month, and if you've been engaged in any of the activities that we've done from January, at least up until now, certainly you have a better understanding as what we're doing. Now, if you've not been engaged in any manner, certainly you may not know, because a lot of times we don't own the newspaper. And if we don't own the newspaper and the radio, then therefore we're not able to advertise everything that we do. But believe me, under my leadership, we've done some things that's quite outstanding. And I just invite you to come to the meeting so you can hear about some of the things and talk to the people that are there in attendance.
And become involved.
Yeah.
Right. And Leon, it was a good question and a good statement that you made. And we're going to have an open line in the second half. And I think that this show we're going to have to end our show. And really appreciate you, Ms. Wallace.
Oh, thank you very much.
Danielle.
Yeah.
I would like to say thank you so much for having us this morning, and hopefully we will get some membership people to come out and join and hear more about what the NAACP is doing. So thank you again for allowing us to be here.
Well, welcome back to Community Radio and Rem Barnett Show. This is Robert Pitre. It's second half, and we're going to have an open line, so we could talk about anything that you would like to talk about, any problems in your community. We'd like to talk about we're going to have an open line, and we open to talk. And let's fill these lines up, and let's talk about some of these problems and solutions that we need to take care of. And right now, let's see these phones light up, and right now we need some pledges. We need pledges. So if you want to talk about, if you have a family member that's in prison, you want to talk about the prison population, you want to talk about racism, you want to talk about unemployment, you want to talk about the HIV epidemic in the city of Dallas and America, if you want to talk about what's going on right now in the political world and indictments of John Water Price, whatever you want to talk about, we're going to talk about it, and we're going to be real. So let's get these lines open, and let's start talking. The number to call is 972-647-1893. Once again, 972-647-1893. So let's talk about, I'm going to just throw something out there. Right now, 49% of all HIV cases in Dallas County, we are less than a third of the population, but we're 49% of all HIV cases. Now, a lot of people don't want to hear that, don't want to talk about that. Majority of the people that go to prison and jails in Dallas, they're African American. I mean, racism is Dallas is said to be one of the most racist cities in America. The unemployment rate is so high in the city of Dallas. So let's deal with these issues that affect us. And so whatever you'd like to talk about, it's open line. We're going to talk about whatever issues that affect you. And let's get some people in here to make some pledges. And once again, the number is 972-647-1893. This is Robert Pitre. Who we have on the line now? Okay. Oh, Cliff.
Yes.
Okay, Cliff.
I'm calling because I really think nationally black people have a problem. And the problem is that we emulate the oppressor. And I'm not a revolutionary, but I think we start encountering our problems when we let segregation and we start integrating in the populace.
Okay.
We gave up our authority. I remember when we had black doctors, chief of police in the community was black, knew everybody. Nothing got out of hand, everybody knew what was going on.
So
It's
what
not
can we
like-
do now? What can we do now, Cliff?
We need to pull together and realize that. For example, Deion Sanders School, and I'm not an educator or anything, but that's an effort that probably will never happen or be successful. But he really needs the support of the black community. He really needs people of his color to be behind him. We have taken on the problems. We have taken on the attitudes of the other people. And every community has its own whatever is unique about them. As black people, we have a uniqueness, and until we can pull together, we can have the NAACP, we can have Jesse Jackson, but it ain't happening.
Right.
It ain't happening. So my thought is that we need to, just like we come together at church, we need to have one church.
What kind of actions are you doing personally to make this difference that you're talking about?
Well, actually, the efforts, I'm not out on the street protesting. I am taking care of my family. I am trying to bring my family into the fold. I'm trying to raise my family. And it starts with your family. I have grandchildren. I'm making sure they are respectable children. I'm making sure that they know who they are and who they belong to. They have a faith. They have a foundation. It starts there.
Right, that's good. And what we need to do is get outside the family and reach out and help each other. These are the things that we need. So I agree with you. Just keep up the good work. Maybe you need to call the NAACP and get involved with the NAACP.
No, I don't need to get involved with the NAACP. They have been here for 100 years, they'll tell you, and they have sold out too.
Okay.
And I'm not totally against them, but it's the truth, man.
Okay, well, find an organization that maybe you could get involved with and make a difference outside of your family, and it'll work. Because what you're saying makes sense. I mean, I'm not saying what you're saying is not right, because you're making sense, and these are things that we need to do to uplift our people. And that's what it's going to take. But right now, we're going to go to... I
am going to take your advice and work with other organizations. Right. I've been trying to do that. Right. And I will make a pledge after we get off the phone.
Well, appreciate you. Cliff is going to make a pledge on line 3. Okay. Madate on line 4. This is Robert Pitre. Open line. What's on your mind? Hello? Okay, I think he must. Okay, but let's it makes sense. It starts with the family, and then it goes abroad. So we need to reach out. I mean, we have some real serious issues that affect us as a people, and a lot of this is but design, and it's not designed by us. It's designed by others. So what do we do individually? How do we come together? Do we need to join the NAACP? Do we need to join other organizations, SCLC? We need to reach out and help each other, because we have some real serious problems that are facing us all over America. So what lines do we have open? The number to call in is 972-647-1893. KNON Radio. This is Robert Pitre setting in for Reverend Dr. Burnett, and we're ready to talk to you. I mean, we want to talk about any issues that affect our community. Matade, you're back.
Yes, good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing great, mister. I'm doing great. I'm sorry, I'm exercising, so try to stay healthy.
Well, good. Okay, tell us what's on your mind.
Yes, first of all, I'd like to thank you and the panelists for the discussion this morning. Secondly, I would really like for us to kind of look at a globalization, because I think what we're kind of seeing happen is that there's a new movement that's going on within our community and outside of our community, but yet we tend to keep ourselves separate from different sources of economics that can help us over here. If we're not able, or if we feel that we can't go to our banks that are here in America, we have other economical entities that are foreign with people that are.
What are some of those entities?
The same entities that we have here, for example, the energy services, which I've been a part of, the agricultural. There's just so many economic things that are going on the continent of Africa right now, and we're not being inclusive. I don't know if it's the choice that we don't really want to participate, or if we're still going to say that there's a divide amongst African and the African descendants that are over here. But I think we really need to stop using excuses and maybe go to the clergy and hold them a little bit more responsible, because I'm feeling that, we can't always rely on our government officials to do the job, and they should have to do the job. It's us as a community.
Right. Well, when you look at accountability, our preachers, teachers, business owners, politicians, everybody needs to be accountable to uplift us as a people. We're going to have to be accountable. And
exactly.
In Dallas, Texas, we don't have a lot of accountability. When you look at our politicians, we vote them in office, they take their seat, and they do their own thing in most cases, and they don't have to be accountable to the people that have voted them in office. So it's time for us to really stand up as a people and make a difference, because if you're looking at a battle, we're losing the battle.
Exactly.
You understand? Because see, when you look at the North Dallas against Southern Dallas, and you look at the problems that we are facing as a people, it's a difference. When you have development on every corner in North Dallas, in South Dallas, in Oak Cliff, you have people standing around doing nothing because there are no jobs in the community, and you have the guys like Mayor Rollins saying, well, if y'all were better educated, y'all get a better job. Jobs will come to your community. And that's, that's game, but we accept these things when people say this to us. It's an economic embargo. It's that the masses don't want us to do better, and we have accepted that, just like we have accepted racism, the lack of opportunities, redlining of our real estate, and also, going into banks. Banks are set up to loan money. And they're regulated by the federal government. See, but when you go in the bank, they have 1,000 reasons to say no, and it's not all about credit. It's not about collateral. It's about how can we turn you down and not make this loan that could help create jobs and opportunity in your community. So,
yes.
I'm glad that you called in and open line. Do we have? Okay, well, we need some callers. We need some pledges. So it's time to stand up. Reverend Burnett has had this show for at least 30 years and been making people aware of what's happening in Dallas, Texas. And Reverend Burnett talk about real issues that affect our people, and it's time for us to wake up and work together, because if we continue to allow these things to happen to us, our conditions are going to get worse. When you have young kids that's young men and women that's 20, 21 years old, never had a job before, never had the opportunity to work. And see, it's time for us to create these jobs for ourselves. Okay, we got Isaac. Isaac, talk to me, Isaac.
Good morning. How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing fine. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm calling, like I was just telling a young man, I was calling from New York, but I live out there in Palestine, Texas, with James Smith that called in.
Right.
And he and I frequently, we talk with Reverend Barnett because we come up to the program, and we've also, we contribute. We would like to see the program go on forever, because you don't get no information too much over the air or on the television from, what's going on in the community. And we all have the same problem just about, but we don't know about it because we don't get any kind of information like the news source doesn't focus on our key problem. And I wanted to say to the person that, had called in and talked about the NAACP, well, we have ours too with the NAACP, but it's not the NAACP. It's the members that are representing the NAACP is the problem sometimes. It's not the organization. The organization is a well-established, good intent organization. But if your members are not doing anything, that's the problem.
So what do you think that the NAACP need to do to get more members and get the community involved and making a difference in our community? Is the NAACP the organization that can do that?
Well, what? See, okay, I go back to this. Let's go back to where we say we all come out of the church. Now, if we can get the understanding to these pastors that they are not just a pastor to preach on Sunday and teach on Wednesday night and, collect the money and go home.
Right.
That's not the issue. The issue is you have to be devoted to your flock, the community where they live. You have to step in for those problems. When Martin Luther King celebration come up in January, you'll see these pastors stepping out like they've been doing this all year long when he stood. And that's a myth because if they studied him, they would be doing more in the community. They wouldn't let this vision that he had, a dream, go down. And we are suffering because our leaders, basically, like the guy said, sold out to a certain degree. Not all of them, but like Reverend Barnett, he's a pastor, and he's out there at the front speaking. You speak on things. And the preachers that sit back, you come to them with problems, and they act like they don't have a clue about doing nothing.
Right, and I'm not speaking up for the preachers, but I've had preachers to say that their congregation do not want them to stand up and talk about issues that affect them daily. It affects their job as a preacher, because a lot of times the members say, well, Pastor, when we come here, I don't want to talk about issues outside this church. I want to talk about Jesus, and I want to talk about how we could raise more money and do things within the church.
Well, but Pitre, the thing is, when a pastor comes and accept the call and say, God sent him, now, he can't tell me that he was called by God and then the people tell him what to do. He's supposed to lead them. And if they're letting the money control them, then they're not serving God. They should go ahead on and find a calling for themselves that God has ordained them for.
Right, that makes sense.
I look at, I left out of a church. The day the pastor said he was, resigning because the officers said they didn't want him doing certain things, and he was trying to, lead the community, trying to step out the issues we have.
Right.
And they end up saying, hey, you out the door.
Right.
And they said the place got a reputation of doing that. Some people say that they said 2 years, and if you'd have made it 4 or 5 years, you're doing a milestone. And they said that church is standing out in Palestine as a church for the reform of getting things done in the community.
Right.
They had some preachers back 30, 40 years ago.
Yeah.
But these preachers that they bring in today, they are clueless, and they do not seem to think that anything outside of those four walls affects. What's outside the four walls doesn't affect them.
And it does, because right now, the churches are getting burglarized. People that go to church, their cards are being broken in. Right now, we're gonna take a break. All right. So, okay, Larry, just hold on, and we're gonna have you on next. Okay, we're gonna take a break. Welcome back. We're in the second half of the Reverend Barnett Show. This is Robert Pitre. I think we have Larry on line 2.
Hello.
Larry.
How's it going?
Just great.
Robert, I want to ask you 2 things. Now, we have the great inventor Don Bell around here in Dallas that can employ every youth in Dallas, Texas. What are we going to do about it?
You kind of broke up. Can you just repeat that again? Say it one more. I heard about the youth being unemployed.
Yeah, I said we have great inventor Don Bell right here in Dallas, Texas, who can employ every youth in this city.
Where's he at?
He's around in Pleasant Grove.
Well, we need to get him on the show, or we need to let people know what kind of jobs he have for our youth, and that needs to be known.
This guy has invented lights off the grid. He's invented light bulbs. He's invented everything and just sitting there with it.
Well, we need to talk with him. I mean, that might be the solution to some of our problems.
Okay, I'm gonna have him. I'm gonna have one of his representatives to call you in a few minutes. Okay.
Okay. Good.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Okay. We have Melvin. Melvin on line 4.
Okay. Yeah. Hello?
Yes, Melvin. You may have your radio on in the background. I think turn your radio down.
Okay, you can hear me now, right?
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just kind of blessed to be on your show this morning, and I pray that I often get every other information to support your program. But this thing I want to talk about is about the black community in the whole United States of America. When black begin to accept other blacks from around the world and build a unity of blackness, I believe that we can get beyond our boundary. For we have a lot of celebrities in this country who are blacks. So if they chose to come together and say, let us have a company in South Dallas that says black is beautiful, and they begin to produce products like here, like cologne, like other things, factories that will get black people work, I think we will move forward.
Right.
And some Jesse Johnson, or how you call it, whoever, say that is also getting $1 billion.
Right. Well, we have a $1 trillion annual income as black Americans in this city, not in the city, in America, and majority of our money is spent with other races, and our money, when we spend it, doesn't come back and benefit us in our community. This is one of the reasons that we have so many people that's unemployed. This is the reason why we have a lot of problems in our community. And then we don't make people accountable. We have to stand up. It's time for us to stand up for what's right. I mean, when you look at all development in North Dallas and you have no development in Southern Dallas, in businesses in Southern Dallas can't go to banks and borrow money like businesses in North Dallas, something is wrong. It is not enough people dealing with the problems that affect us as a people. And we need organizations, not only NAACP, we need more organizations. We need people to stand up. We need all these organizations to come together and deal with these problems that affect us. You know, so we have a lot of work. We have a lot of work. And it's time for us to take a stand and make a difference. If we keep just talking about it and doing nothing about it, our conditions are going to continue to get worse. And if you look at society, or you look at the inner cities of America, it's not getting better. It's getting worse. The opportunities are less. It's not increasing. So it's time for us to do some things. So I think that Danielle had called back. She's on line 2, but thank you for calling in.
Hi. Yes, I was just on the show earlier, and I wanted to weigh in on what the gentleman just said. I agree 100% that we need to first love ourselves and receive each other as black as a whole. And I want to encourage people to read the Willie Lynch letter. If you've never heard of it, please Google it. Go on there and read it. It is about how they plan to divide and conquer us early on, and that plan is still working against us. Also, I want to encourage us as a people to start our own nail shop. We spend thousands and thousands of dollars a year in these Asian nail shops. They come into the country, they open these shops. We need to learn this craft and start opening our own nail shops. Come together, learn the business, and go out and just bring them into our community. These are things that I wanted to talk about earlier when I was on the show, but we ran out of time. It's imperative that we do this. It's imperative that we love ourselves for who we are. And without doing that, we won't move forward. These are things that were being done back in the 60s and 70s, and this is why our movements were so successful at that time, because we were talking about black power and black beauty and teaching our children that black is beautiful. But now it's the other way around, where everyone's trying so hard to be anything but black. And this is one of the reasons why the division is so strong and why things are getting worse.
So you're saying that many of our people don't want to be black, and they...
Absolutely. I'm saying a lot of the things in the media and in the videos and the things that are being presented in our community are causing us to think that black is not beautiful.
Right.
Versus back in the 60s and the 70s when we were teaching each other that black is absolutely beautiful, and we were receiving that message and growing stronger as a people. In the 80s, when things started to go downhill again, and has continued to go downhill ever since then. But yes, I am saying that a lot of us don't want to be black. A lot of us are striving to do any and everything.
So let me ask you something, Danielle. What do you think about these young men that's walking around with their pants hanging down? And what's your opinion of that? And then they need a job, and a lot of them is trying to get a job, and this is the way they're presenting themselves.
Well, I think if people educate themselves on the reason behind the pants hanging down, hopefully they would stop doing that. And to realize that our ancestors did not die for us to walk around with our pants hanging down to our knees. We have to remember, back in the 60s or 70s, our men wore suits, our women wore dresses. We presented ourselves in a positive way. And that is how we are supposed to present ourselves. I think a lot of the young men do that as a form of rebellion and self-identity, saying that I can do what I want to do and not listen to the mainstream and dress in such a way. But you have to remember that these are things that keep you from getting a job if you continue to do those types of things, because it's not appropriate. I don't care how you try to shape it. Those things are not appropriate. We have to realize that we have to represent ourselves the way that our ancestors wanted us to represent ourselves, and that is in a positive way.
Okay, well, that's good, Danielle. We have another call, and I'm glad you called back. And
thank you. I'll listen in.
And keep up the good work. Barbara on line 1.
Good morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing just fine. I had a comment on about the banks not giving people of color loans. And I remember when Martin Luther King was marching, they did march, they did come together, but they did things. You know, they came together, they went to jail together, they boycotted. Why can't we just boycott these banks? They're going to give us loans.
And that's true. That's true. We should boycott the banks. And I think that it would work. If we, many years ago, and people know that I had a sign on my fence about Nation Bank not loaning money, also Chase, and it was it was very effective, and people was taking their money out of banks. If we take a stand, but we have accepted racism. We just accept everything in a stand. We don't make nobody accountable. We don't make each other accountable. You got to make your neighbors accountable, your children, your pastors, your preachers. You understand? Everyone, and especially your politicians, the people that represent you. You have people that represent you, and once they get in office, it's all about them. It ain't about you.
And it's more than about coming together, because, for instance, the NAACP, they're an organization that's together, but you have to do something. You have to make a stand. You got to, like you say, you got to take your money out.
Well, Barbara, doesn't make a lot of sense, and I agree with you 100%. We're getting close to the ending of the show, and so call back and talk to Reverend Burnett. Maybe that might be something that we need to do. Would you participate in bar county banks?
I will take my money out of Chase Bank in a heartbeat.
Well, let's talk about that, and I'm gonna let Reverend Burnett know, and we could have a meeting, and let's talk about, because it's an economic embargo, and if you take the money from North Dallas and not make loans to these developers to build and these businesses to go in and borrow money to buy inventory and stuff like that, they have the same problem that we have in our community. It's an economic embargo. But we're going to have to go to Connor, but it's like I say, call back next week and maybe we get this started.
All right.
Line 4, Connor. Hello?
Hello?
Yes. Give me your name. I really didn't.
Well, actually, my name is Esquire Connor. I've known everybody for a long time.
Okay. Esquire. All right.
Yes. Okay. I've been a little business person myself for a long time, just part-time and all that. Yeah. The problem is, and I always heard you say, how can you run a business if you can't borrow no money?
Right.
You got to have a startup procedure somewhere.
Right.
But they don't want to loan you, man.
No, they ain't going to loan you if you're black, and I could witness to that, and it's not about collateral, it's not about credit. No. It's not about putting together a package. I mean, you could have those things, and they're going to turn you down.
I tell you what, I have a neighbor who's passed on now.
Yes.
And he had an account down at the old Bank of America. And he had quite a bit of money. So he went down one day and decided he wanted to borrow, let's say, $8,000 or some of his money. They wouldn't loan it to him, his own money. So it's a problem. And I'm at the point now I wouldn't do a lot of protesting, but when I came here to Hutchins, we didn't have a lot of things. We had things that we didn't have now that we have done well in. And what all people have to do, we did it, organize in your community. Get somebody on the council. We elected 2 mayors. That's the way you start. And yes, you can move on up. I've been a member of the NAACP at one time. I don't have nothing against it.
Right.
But I enjoyed your program this morning, and I know that I know you had your battles.
Yes.
So you have a great day.
Okay, we're on KNON. Call in 972-647-1893. This is Robert Pitre just filling in for Reverend Burnett. Let's get these lines lit up. We need some callers. Let's talk about it. We have open line to talk about whatever you want to talk about. Whatever. This is open line. So, I think we got some people calling in right now. We're getting some pledges. That's what we need. I want Reverend Burnett to say that Robert Pitre was on my show, and I got just as many pledges as if I would have been there. So, it's open line, and let's talk about any of these issues that affect your community, any issue, and because this is what community radio is about. Who we have next?
Joe is on line 4.
Joe on line 4.
Hey, Robert, how you doing?
Just great, Joe.
Hey, good to hear you again. Good to hear you again. See you holding it down for the right reverend.
Yo, that's right.
Hey, how about that? Hey, Robert, in tune with what you were saying about borrowing that money, it's something strange happened to me, and probably most young people graduating from college, their first large purchase usually would be a car. And I recall going to the bank to borrow some money to get my car. And I knew the banker very well, nice Caucasian young man.
Yeah.
And I told him I wanted to buy a couple acres of land. Down in Mississippi, land was selling cheap. I told him I wanted to buy about 3 acres of land. And he looked at me with shock.
I know he did.
And then I told him, I said, no, I was kidding. And I said, I was wanting to get a loan for a car.
Yeah.
And he relaxed and started cutting the paperwork.
Yeah, that's right, because he don't want you to own no land now.
Right, and as I thought, as I got older and reflected back, I'm like, he would have had a better financial risk with me with the land, because I could wreck the car and tear it up.
Yeah.
But
they don't want you to own no land. They don't want
you to own no land. Right, you can't tear up the land. Yeah. It'll be there until the savior return.
That's right.
But,
and God's not making no more land.
That's right. But it's a thing about ownership. In America,
but what we need to do, we need to come together and we need to deal with these banks. People like you and myself and other people that know that you cannot go in these banks if you black to borrow money to create jobs and opportunity. And you look at our community, man, it's blighted, drug infested, crime. It's because people are not working. My grandfather used to say, if you don't work, you're going to steal or sell dope or depend on somebody else. And this is what's happening.
Exactly. And in closing, Robert, in high school, they should teach economic responsibility. That's right. And that also should be mandatory in college, but we don't do it. Have a good day.
Thank you. Line 2, Mr. Johnson.
Hello?
Yes.
Good morning.
Okay. Are we waiting? Talk to us.
Yes. Okay, yeah. I'm calling about Don Bell. I was told to call to speak to Robert Pitre.
Oh, okay. Tell us about his program to hire our youth and create jobs in our community.
Well, I'm calling you about some new technology that I think is worthy of your attention. It is wireless electricity, and it's called REES, Radio-Enabled Small Signal Electricity, and its inventor, Mr. Don Bell. He is a Dallas inventor, local inventor, and a visionary thinker. He has pushed the boundaries and defied the laws of physics with his latest technology. And he is introducing free, unmetered wireless electricity to the world. His technical aim is putting an end to the unconscionable acts of the electricity companies and bring relief to electricity consumers around the U.S.
Well, give us a number, because we could give us some number. Give us a number that we could call them at. Can you give us a number and we could call?
Yes, the number is 214.
Okay.
200 1122. You can call him right now.
22. Well, we can't call him right now, but okay. We're gonna take a break, and we got Jim and we got Victoria. So we have open line this morning. The number is 972-647-1893. Welcome back. This is Robert Pitre, open line. Sitting in for Reverend Dr. Burnett. Let's go to line 4. Jim.
Morning.
How you doing, Jim?
Good.
How are you doing? Oh, just great. Let's talk about some of these issues that's affecting the city of Dallas.
Sure. The biggest one right now, hanging fire, is the indictments, the federal indictments. I think that's the most immediate issue.
Okay, and that's of County Commissioner John Weller Price.
Yes, Commissioner Price and
others. Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk about it. What's really going on? Because I'm hearing two sides. I'm hearing, blacks saying, well, they're just picking on black politicians, and then, and I hear the other side that, hey, it's 13 indictments charges. So, I mean, something is going on. Something is real. So what do you think, Jim?
Well, the as you say, there seem to be two views of it, that this is directed only at black people involved, and where the white folks are on the other side of the equation. But it's also true that the direction of this thing, the focus of it, is where the facts took the investigators.
Okay.
And then the question is going to be, how come it didn't take them the rest of the way? But the most explosive charge is really that Commissioner Price was collaborating with a set of interests who wanted to divert growth away from southern Dallas. The accusation is that he was working in exchange for money. He was working to deprive southern Dallas of economic development.
I mean, jobs in our community. So you're saying that he deprived jobs that could have benefited blacks in the city of Dallas and in southern Dallas?
Let me put it two ways. there's an accusation of criminal behavior here, that he took bribes to do it. That's up to the feds to prove. That's up to the court, and I really don't know what we'll have to wait and see. Right. The other way of looking at it is politically. I mean, if we forget about the indictment, which we can't, but let's pretend we can, just politically, what was his behavior? Clearly, his behavior was to slow down, shut down the inland port development.
Why? Why?
Well, there you get into a pretty tangled web. You'd have to say that the leadership of the city, then Mayor Leffert, Councilman Ron Natinsky, who was head of the Transportation Committee, the whole bunch of them worked to slow down the inland port development at a time when Hillwood, which is the Perot family, said publicly they wanted it slowed down. They said the inland port competes directly with us over in Fort Worth. The Perots own Alliance Airport, which is also a huge railroad.
Well, what did it have to do with Dallas? What did it have to do with Dallas? Fort Worth and then Dallas. I mean,
you would think Dallas would say, "Hey, if we're competing, we're going to fight jobs.
We need those jobs and opportunities." So that's the point.
Sure.
Yeah, that's puzzling there.
Yeah. Why would Dallas work to help Fort Worth?
Right.
That's a big puzzle. Right. That's a big question mark that's at the center of this whole federal case.
Okay, now have they indicted Perot, the Perot group?
No, they've mentioned them. They mentioned them in the indictment. They call it Company H, but that's Hillwood. They've subpoenaed documents from them, but they haven't indicted them, and the question would be why. And look, one of the possibilities is that Hillwood didn't break the law, that they just paid Price's middleman, Kathy Neely. They just paid the money and said, "Do what you can for us." But they didn't say, "Go bribe somebody." That's one possibility, is that they were, whatever you want to call it, smart enough, slick enough.
But Jim, if somebody accepts a bribe, and that means that somebody bribed them. So
at the price end, yeah.
Right. So if Mr. Price is indicted, shouldn't they indict the person that bribed, that they say bribed Mr. Price?
But the money went from the hand of Kathy Neely to the hand of Commissioner Price, and so they can say Kathy Neely bribed him.
Oh.
That leaves the question: who put the money in Kathy Neely's hand?
And why would they put some money in her hands?
And here's the other piece of it that they've shown in this indictment. It wasn't just, they didn't just get, all these companies that paid money to Kathy Neely, they didn't just get the vote in exchange for it. They got all kinds of inside documents that came back to them. And you would think they're looking at these documents, they know the rules, they know they're not supposed to have those documents. And so you would think that they would, if they were straight up and on the straight and narrow, they would say, "Oh, well, wow, there's something wrong going on here. We're not supposed to have this stuff. We need to call up Ms. Neely and say, now don't involve us, and don't do this again."
Right. Now, so people and I'm hearing both sides of it. So people that's in the black community that's saying that they're just picking on black politicians and not looking at what white people is doing and what they've been doing in the past. And and I've had comments that hey, if they're watching you and you black, it's kind of like if two thieves went off in the Neiman Marcus, and a black thief and a white thief. And the black thief went in there with his pants hanging down and his hat turned to the side, and the white thief went in there with a suit on and a tie and a little bag from Joski's and like he'd been shopping. Now, who's most likely to get caught? They gonna
But then you have the question of who's the victim. Let's say that two thieves stick a gun in my face and steal my car. And one of them's white and one of them's black, but they steal my car. And I'm saying it that way because all this stuff that was done hurts Southern Dallas. Everybody involved hurt Southern Dallas.
Right.
So let's pretend these two guys steal my car, and the police come and tell me, well, we caught them, and we're going to send the black guy to prison. Now, I'm thinking, what about the white guy?
Okay.
But do I say, okay, if you're just gonna do the black guy and not the white guy,
something wrong with that deal.
Yeah, but do I say let him keep my car and let him go?
No, you can't do that. Jim, hold on for a second. We got Greg Barber on the job line, and we got to get Greg on because we need jobs in our community. Greg, line 2, talk to me.
Good morning, Robert.
How you doing, Greg?
I'm doing fine.
Well, what kind of jobs we had this morning?
This morning on the SAP job line, that's Solutions and Access Today job line, brought to you every Saturday morning during church information and open forum. Here on Knon 89.3, the voice of the people. This morning on the job line, we have Interstate Threaded Products is looking for a warehouse order picker. They're asking you to apply online at www.interstatethreadedproducts.com. Once again, that's www.interstate, I-N-T-E-R-S-T-A-T-E, threaded, T-H-R-E-A-D-E-D, product.com. Andrews Distributing Company is looking for warehouse order selectors. They're asking you to apply online at www.wfa.kronostm.com. Once again, that's Andrews Distributing Company is looking for warehouse order selectors. They're asking you to apply online at www.wfa.kronostm.com. Uline is looking for warehouse representatives. They're asking you to apply online at www.uline.com. Once again, that's Uline is looking for warehouse representatives. They're asking you to apply online at www.uline.com. Last is looking for customer service representatives. They're asking you to apply online at www.siplast.com. Once again, that's Last is looking for customer service representatives. They're asking you to apply online at www.siplast.com. Rochester Gauges is looking for customer service representatives. They're asking you to apply online at www.rochestergauges.com. That's ROCHESTERGAUGES.com. If you are a child-loving patient, an energetic individual, and would like to work in a daycare setting, the number for inquiry is 972-290-4995. Once again, if you are a child-loving patient, an energetic individual, and would like to work in a daycare setting, the number for inquiry is 972-290-4995. If you are a person affected by addiction and need assistance with your recovery effort, or an ex-offender trying to make that transition back to mainstream society and need assistance with job search, the number for inquiry is 214-634-2722. Once again, if you are a person affected by addiction and need assistance with your recovery effort, or an ex-offender trying to make that transition back into mainstream society and need assistance with job search, the number for inquiry is 214-634-2722. Today is a good day if you're looking for a job to find one. Let me repeat that. Today is a good day if you're looking for a job to find one. Today is also a great day to make a list, church information, and open forum and follow through with it. Let me repeat that. Today is also a great day to make a list of church information and open forum and follow through with it. Robert, I got a question. Hello?
Greg.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got a question, and that is, this is on the previous case and also pertaining to this one. People got upset about the Dunn Hill case, and that Dunn was tried and found guilty and is now serving prison time. That's Dunn was tried by a jury of his peers and found guilty. The part that's upsetting to me is nobody got upset that, quote unquote, according to the law, somebody did cast the exact same vote took more money, did the exact same thing that Don did, that Don is serving prison time for, but did it legally.
Right.
Nobody got upset about that. Nobody raised any cane about that. How can this exact same thing be done legally? And that's the question that you're asking today. Any criminal activity, that's a two-way street. If someone's taking a bribe, somebody's got to be offering one.
That's right.
It's a two-way street. Is it just this or is it just us?
That's a question. That's a question. Jim, are you still on, Jim? I think Jim hung up. Yeah, but
you can't hear me?
Oh yeah, I can hear you now. What do you think about the question that Greg and I have raised?
It's unavoidable. It's unavoidable. I think it's on everybody's mind that how can the people who were paying money to Kathleen Neely aren't even invisible. They're really named in this sort of cute way in the indictment. They just use initials for their companies. Can you still hear me?
Yes. Go ahead.
But everybody, by now, the news reports have figured out who all of them are. Everybody knows who they are, and so sure, everybody thinks logically, well, wait a minute. How can the people who are really reaping the larger benefit here, getting multi-million-dollar contracts and so on, how can they be not in this picture? And I don't know the answer to that.
Right. And Jim, some of the evidence just don't even sound right, and some of the, I read some of the statements and the part of the indictments in saying how, Mr. Price and Ms. Neely had accounts at the same bank and they transferred money to each other and all kinds of stuff. I mean, it's just, it doesn't seem true. It don't seem like, if I was trying to commit a crime, it's certain things that I wouldn't do. I'd be trying to avoid certain situations from happening. So, I guess, we all going to just have to wait and see what the outcome will be. And I think the way it sounds, it's going to be very interesting.
And what you just said brings up an important point that yes, you have all this money going back and forth, but Commissioner Price and Kathleen Neely were in business together. Right. She was his political consultant.
Right.
That's not against the law.
Right.
They've got to show Commissioner Price telling Neely or somebody, you give me this money and I'll give you my vote. They call it tit for tat. They've got to have that. The fact that the money went back and forth doesn't prove anything.
Right.
There's got to be that tit for tat agreement.
Greg, do you have any more questions? Oh, Greg's off? Okay. Well, Jim, I guess you're going to have to come on the Reverend Barnett show and let you and Reverend Barnett talk about these issues, because it's a lot of issues that's affecting the African American community. But what I continue to say to the African American public, that we got to make people accountable. Everybody has to be accountable. What I do, I need to be accountable. What your children do, what the doctor do, the lawyer do, your politicians, your school teachers, your principals, everyone has to be accountable for us to uplift ourselves out of the situation that we're in. But Jim, it's always good to talk to you, Jim, and we're gonna keep reading your articles, and a lot of what's happening. A lot of times you before everybody. Your information is before the FBI indictments, and look like, Jim, you have some great sources, Jim.
Well, I'll tell you my secret. Everybody else knows about this stuff too. The question isn't so much why do I do it ahead of them, it's why don't they do it.
Oh, that makes sense. Jim, well, I appreciate you, Jim, and keep informing us and keeping us with information, because right now, you go to Dallas Observer, you're going to get some information before Dallas Morning News and other papers. we out of here. Is it time for us to go? This is Robert Pitre. I enjoyed Reverend Burnett calling me in, helping him out. Hope I did well. Thank you.
Knon 89.3 FM in Dallas and Fort Worth, the voice of the people. Business owners, tell KNON's listeners about your business. You can put your business or event on KNON. KNON currently has space available to run announcements for you. Tell KNON's listeners about your goods, services, nightclub, concert, or event. Help keep the voice of the people on the air while putting your information on the air. KNON's been named the #1 radio station in Dallas by both the Dallas Observer and D Magazine. Put your business with Dallas's #1 station. Call now for more information at 214-828-9500, extension 227, or extension 233. For more information, go to knon.org and click on the Run Spots on KNON page. It's a great way for your business to support community radio while letting more people know about you.